Hello, 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 and welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon. Now, this is my first regular gaming video of 2018. Happy birthday, MLK Jr. And I was excited to get back to this one because I really did want to know where the story ends. So, if you want to find out what happened in the last chapter, just check out the other video. For now, let's jump right back into this and continue reading. Chapter 4, A Compliment's Value. Oh, that's right. Okay, I left off with another flashback to me and my terrible mother with her terrible mothering. You waited, but the children didn't come, did they?
They promised they'd be back today. We even crossed pinkies.
Promises are futile, dearest heart.
But...
I've told you before, and I'll tell you again. People are selfish creatures. They will always put their own well-being before others. No one does anything selflessly. Ha! Such good advice you give. To put your trust in someone is weakness, lady. Even those that make promises will only keep them if it benefits them. And you, my sweet, were obviously not beneficial to those children. God. Her mom was the worst. Like, seriously.
So they didn't like playing with me?
No, they did not. They hated you, daughter. I'm just telling you that for your own good. Come here, darling. You do not need those other children. The two of us can play together, as we always do.
I can always trust you, Mother?
Of course, my love. But my mama's gone. My head feels foggy. Maybe it was because it took me forever to fall asleep yesterday. I don't remember what voices I did, by the way, for any of these people. So, whatever. But I'm gonna drink my water. And then, to make things worse, I ended up having that dream. No kidding. Mother, you are the only one I can trust. Right? I slowly slide out of my bed and make my way over to my dresser. The little bag is still where I left it last night. I open it up and let the little white chocolate lily fall into my hand. Oh, that's right, Rumpel gave me a gift, which was very sweet, very sweet. Is he really trying to help me? I remember his face yesterday and his bright smile as he presented this to me. I slowly run my fingers across the delicate white petals. He couldn't have known lilies were my favorite flower. There was no reason to be sentimental about something like this. It's just silly. I'm about to put the flower back in the bag, but I stop, eyeing it once more. What? Eating? That's not right. Slowly, I bring it to my lips and bite off a small petal. It is actually pretty good. I stuff the little flower back into the bag and make my way downstairs. The march is not busy this early in the morning, but everyone is starting on their chores. At least, I assume as much when I see Anise and then Waltz, who is helping her stack things. Then I hear rising voices and realize that not all is calm. Uh-oh. At least I don't have to pretend to be something I'm not. You say you're not pretending when you go around flirting with all the female patrons day in and day out? You cannot seriously mean all of the drivel you spout. Karma and Rumpel stand on opposite sides of a table, staring each other down. A teacup filled with what looks to be cool tea sits close to Karma, abandoned. Flirting with a lady is not a crime. One day your flirting is going to get you into even more trouble than it already has. I've never had a lady say I've never had a lady say I mistreated her. Not once. Oh, I'm sure many could attest to being more than slightly annoyed. You're only jealous that I can speak to ladies without a disguise, aren't you? Gah! Karma slams his hand down on the table, shaking it. The tavern grows quiet. Waltz looks over, his eyebrows furrowed with worry. If you so much as make one more comment about my curse, Then stop making comments about how I speak." The two continue to glare at each other. It almost looks as if Karma might circle the table and slap him, but the fight freezes as Jurian strides up to the two men. "It's too early for the two of you to already be at each other's throats." "But he started it!" "All I did was make a comment. He was the one that picked a fight." "There you go again, twisting words." Jurian stomps on the ground. The two men once again turn to look at her. "It's my job to break up unnecessary fights, and I will do it." "Oh, if you two must continue fighting, go do it somewhere else, like the forest where you can't disturb anyone, except the forest." Both men turn away from each other, obviously agitated. Rumpel's expression is cloudy as he makes his way over to the bar to begin helping set the tables. Jurian notices me watching. She waves at me with a terse smile on her face. "Sorry you had to wake up to that, Princess." I shrug as I make my way over to Mr. Broom. Oh, I missed Mr. Broom! It is like waking up to two children arguing. Agreed, wholeheartedly. Jurian sighs before looking at me thoughtfully. "Maybe you could have a word with Rumpel later. I have no idea how their argument even started, but maybe you can get to the bottom of it." "I am not a babysitter." "But I'd heard the two of you were partners." "Anyway, hopefully this doesn't happen again." "Good luck with your work today, Princess." Jurian walks off, vigilant as always. I notice Garland looking at her from the bar, a slight frown on his face. I start working around the tavern, starting first with the cleaning and then with the stacking. Delora makes snide remarks about my slowness as I work, and I try my best to ignore her while occasionally throwing her insults back at her. It is as if she has nothing better to do. The door to the tavern opens and Parfait steps inside with a bright smile. She looks more energetic than usual. I wonder if this is because of Rumpel's medicine suggestions. "Oh, that's right." Later, I manage to catch Rumpel when the two of us are both on break. He looks pleased to see me until I mention Karma. Why did I do that? Lady! Let's drink some more water. Narrating hydration. Why were the two of you fighting earlier? What a sad day it is that the princess talks about another man to my face. Just answer me. I was getting ready for the events of today, as always, speaking to the lovely women who filter in and out of this place, when the beast appeared behind me. Even his insults are dramatic. "Your flirting is distracting me," he proclaimed. Well, your flirting is annoying. But all I'm doing is complimenting women. I'm not impeding anyone's work. I thought that the only reason he was calling me out on such a thing was because he was actually jealous. You should have seen his scowl. And here we go. So I politely told him to mind his business, but he was relentless, and when he continued to insult my demeanor, well, I had to say something back, but I wasn't the one to start the fight. I swear they both really do sound like children. No doubt Karma would be blaming Rumpel. Princess, you don't really think I'm so confrontational, do you? You know, I'm gonna have to take Rumpel's side on this, and not because I like him, but because Karma is kind of a bitch. And I don't mean that in the sense of the old adage that Karma's a bitch. I mean that Karma is literally a bitch, you know? So, I feel like he probably did start a fight with Rumpel, but I also think it's really interesting that Rumpel feels like the only reason Karma was mad was because he was kind of into it. And maybe he doesn't want to admit that he was into, you know, Rumpel flirting with other women, that it actually got under his skin. Maybe he does like Rumpel, and he just doesn't want to admit it to himself because he's a dude masquerading as a lady. You know, I don't know. Let's continue the story. Let's not theorize. Let's just readerize. I think Karma is far more confrontational than Rumpel, but it does not help that Rumpel always snaps back at him. The two of you are both at fault. Why are your eyes like that, lady? What's going on? Jeez. But, Princess! In the end, you were still having a childish argument. I think that Rumpel might try to protest again, and am surprised when he shrugs his shoulders and sighs. Yes, it was childish, because that man is a child. I roll my eyes. Ah, your irritated scowl chills my heart, Princess. I feel a tinge of excitement. I am leaving now. There's really no point in having this conversation. It is a problem between Karma and Rumpel. They aren't children. They can figure this out on their own. Well, make up your mind, lady. Either they're children or they're not. Jeez. Oh, princess of my heart, why must you depart so early? I ignore Rumpel and leave him standing where he is as I return to my shift a little early. Honestly, I would much rather focus on work than Rumpel. He can be just as tiring, if not more. Though, after what happened last night, I do not think he is as terrible as I thought. He is not terrible. He was very sweet. The day goes on, and Rumpel and I speak only briefly during our breaks. Every day I eat another piece of the lily until only one is remaining. Oh. What? One afternoon, just before my break, Rumpel approaches me with a mischievous smile on his face. Oh, no. I didn't mean to turn that on. My lovely princess, how are you today? What do you want? Your cold shoulder is enticing. I have one more table to serve. Do not bother me. But, princess, I've decided I know exactly how to teach you to be good. All of your other lessons have been useless so far. That's because your reception of them is useless, lady. You do not receive with use. Please, just trust me. To put my trust in someone is weakness. I'm going to teach you how to flirt. Oh, shit. What? The first step to flirting is eye contact, princess. Wait, but why are you... Rumpel points at my customer, a young man sitting right beside the window. The second is to smile. Smile, princess, because I'm sure you look even more stunning when you do. Then you start a conversation with him. Body language is important. There are certain signals that key men into the fact that a woman is interested in them. I think playing with your hair is one. A gentle tap on the shoulder is another. I should have expected Rumpel to spout this sort of nonsense. He ain't wrong.
Princess? The customer's been waiting for a while now. Is something wrong?
I noticed the customer looking at me expectantly. He is just some man, a usual customer that I actually see often. Oh, and princess, don't forget the compliments. Make them as delicate and illustrative as you can. I move away from Rumpel before he can muddle my thoughts any further. Already my feet feel like lead. I find myself staring at the man for far too long. The way he stares back at me, his expression so unreadable, suddenly makes me feel more uncomfortable. Do I really have to do what Rumpel says? I stop in front of the man and set down his tray, my eyes still on his. I do not have to follow Rumpel's advice, but for some reason my lips quirk. The smile on my lips, though, lasts all of half a second. Are you okay? Oh, I'm gonna flirt. I'm gonna make Lady be all about the flirting business, because this is about love and mystery and magic. And so too am I in my real life about those things that I just said. So you, lady, you're gonna suck it up, you're gonna stop being a jerk, and you're gonna flirt. I can feel Rumpel smiling at my back. If this were anyone else but him, I would think it was some kind of prank. But, considering this is the way Rumpel acts all the time, maybe he's really trying to help me. I try to recall how he flirted with his customers before. All right, here we go. Here's Lady's first attempt at flirtation. Let me drink some water for this one. I can't open my bottle. Why? Okay. Don't know why I screwed that back on so tightly.
I could not help but notice you were alone, sir.
I'm always alone.
My heart is thumping far too loudly in my chest. What kind of things does Rumpel usually say?
Madam, you are the most beautiful thief I have ever met, for it is you who has stolen my heart and stolen my gaze. La la la, flashback, flashback. Your eyes are more captivating than the stars, my sweet. If I could, I would stare into them forever and lose myself in their majesty. You remind me of a girl that I once knew. I'm sorry. You remind me of a rose with thorns, but the thorns are what makes the rose so alluring, because I like being pricked and going, ow, that sucked.
All he does is spout complimentary gibberish. I will try to do the same.
All right, I'm rooting for you, lady. Try better this time.
How is it that you would always be alone when you have such lovely eyes? The customer stares at me, baffled. I force myself to continue.
Also, maybe he's baffled because he has no eyes. I mean, just putting that out there.
Your eyes remind me of the leaves in fall as they flutter beneath the bright gaze of the sun, and... I stop. The words, nothing more than the shallow lie, make me feel strangely hollow. The man is just staring at me, but he looks uncomfortable. Still, I do not think he is anywhere near as uncomfortable as I am.
Ma'am?
Perhaps you would... My voice trails off. I bite my lip so hard I can taste something metallic.
That's not healthy.
The man's expression is a mixture of awe and perplexity. I immediately turn away from him and walk off. My whole face is hot, and I can feel anger boiling deep down inside of me.
Ah, princess.
Leave me alone. Princess, we're not done. I do not care. I ignore everyone's gazes as I make my way as quickly as I possibly can up the stairs into my room. There, I collapse on my bed, and I lay there with my arms outstretched. Why would I have ever even thought of taking Rumpel's advice? Hours go by, and eventually I realize that it is time to help Anise with the night chores. Now I am helping her restock some of the bottles that Waltz and Karma brought back from town. I hope Anise does not mention what happened earlier today. I slip out of bed and head down to the main area of the tavern.
Oh, look at the march at night. It's pretty.
The room is mostly quiet by the time I go downstairs. Parfait and Delora are talking to each other at a table.
Yay! Delora! Delora! Delora is me. That was my Delora song.
Karma passes me by as I walk downstairs. He looks exhausted and oddly frustrated. I make my way over to Anise, who is already putting bottles on the shelves. Oh, Princess, are you okay now? I am fine. Now, what did you need me to do? Anise explains how restocking works.
God, I was so privileged I don't even understand the concept of redoing a verb.
She shows me the labels on the shelves and explains that the empty spots are where the new bottles go. It is not a hard job, and one I can easily do without thinking too hard. For a while, the only sounds that can be heard in the march are the bottles clinking against each other. Underneath that is the murmuring between Parfait and Delora. I have no idea what they are talking about, but they look serious, so it must be something important. So, Princess, can I ask what life was like at the palace? Right. She cannot remember working in the palace before. Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying. I should have just kept reading. I don't mean to pry. I was just trying to make conversation. I would rather not. Oh, okay. Eventually, Parfait and Dolores stand from their seats and move to another room to continue their conversation. Anise breaks the silence again. The tavern is nice when it's quiet like this, isn't it? You can hear the sounds outside if you open a window. My hands move... What? I thought that said, my hands move a stiffy. It's just... Oh, God. My hands move stiffly, placing bottles on shelves by label. All I want to do is get the work done and then return to my room. It was like this at the old palace that I used to work. I was hired by a rich family to be their maid. Their mansion was a beautiful place. You could hear the crickets if you were by the windows on the bottom floor. It seems like her memory has been twisted by my curse, so she cannot remember working at the palace. All she remembers is working for a rich family. It was a nice place, Princess. There was a girl close to my age that had a radiant smile. Radiant smile. She must be talking about Emma Lane. I see. So she does remember, like, working in the palace and all of that. She just doesn't remember that it was my palace and that I was the princess. Okay, alright, I get it. The head of the mansion is a really kind man, and... She grows suddenly quiet, a look of confusion coming to her face. She pauses, and then shakes her head. I can't seem to remember everyone that was there, but I'm pretty sure they were all good people. At least, I'd like to think so. Yeah, she can't remember me, 'cause I was a bitch. I was just a bad maid. She was. Because of her, Dolores' dress was torn. I was too ashamed to tell one of the mistresses that I couldn't save her doll. Save her doll? Anise looks down, her smile wistful. Oh no, is this gonna be a case of me having gotten her fired? 'Cause I thought that she did something she didn't do. Oh, poor Anise. Alright. I was fired on my first day because I couldn't save one of the mistress's dolls. That face doesn't match what you're saying. There we go, that's better. I was the one cleaning her shelves that day, and when I went in, I saw a crow had come in through the open window and was pecking at one of the dolls. I shooed it away, but I was too late. The doll had a little rip in its dress, and I was fired for not doing my job properly. Gah! So, it wasn't Anise who ripped Dolores' dress, but a bird? Is this why Dolores insisted Anise deserves an apology? What happened after you were fired? Lady Parfait found me on the streets. I couldn't go back to my aunt's house, not after what happened. She never liked me anyway. Anise's face clouds briefly with sorrow, but the expression is short-lived. I can never forget the day I met Lady Parfait. I told her I would be able to help her and anyone else that got sick. That I can even do all the cooking, since I've been making meals for my father since I was a young girl. I begged her to take me in, and she did. I owe Lady Parfait a lot. Why didn't you go back to your father after you were fired? My father passed away a while ago. My mother died giving birth to me. My father was an herbalist, and he taught me a lot while he was still with me. So before Rumpel came in, I helped Lady Parfait with herbal remedies. So you have no one? That's what I thought, but now I have everyone here. The March is my family now. Family. Princess, we're all happy to have you here too. You really help out around the March, and I can tell Rumpel's happy to have you as a partner." The memory of what happened today slowly seeps back into my mind. I cannot help the irritation bubbling up inside of me. "I know he's a little overwhelming, but I'm pretty sure Rumpel's really trying to help you, just like he's helping Lady Parfait." "It is not the same thing at all." The two of us continue working until Anise makes another wistful comment.
"Oh, everything's wistful to you, isn't it, lady? I need more water. Also, I'm tired."
The place I worked before this. It felt like there was warmth in that gigantic home, but it was stifled. That place isn't warm at all. I speak the words without even meaning to. Anise looks up at me curiously. The king suddenly started speaking to me when Mother died, but it was never enough. Before that, he was cold and distant, and even now he favors his new wife and children over me.
Well, he doesn't know that you're his daughter now. You're under a curse. Oh my God, lady! A lady!
There were people, but they all wore fake smiles, and my father was the worst of all. I may as well have never existed to him. Princess, I'm sorry. For what? You're talking about the palace, right? The king always seemed so nice. He put his kingdom before his children. Anise fidgets nervously. I'm sorry. Apologies are not going to change the past. Sometimes apologizing seems like all we can do when we can't change something that's already happened. I think about Anise, who tried to save my doll, and the way I fired her that day. Rumpel told me once that all I had to do was listen to people to sympathize with them. Could that also be true for finding out the truth? All I can do to make up for what I did to her is...
Well, obviously you have to apologize, all right? Number 1, because that's the right thing to do. Number 2, because Rumpel would be proud. And number 3, because my curse won't be broken until I learn to do good deeds. And if I keep acting like a jerk, I'll never get back to my old life. Not that I deserve it, but, you know, I think I still have a lot to learn. Apologize.
I am sorry.
Huh?
Anise looks at me, clearly shocked. She stares for a few moments before I scowl at her. Staring is rude. Oh, I was just... Why are you apologizing to me, Princess? It is for something I did that you wouldn't remember. That I wouldn't remember? You should tell me. I promise I wouldn't hold it against you. It is not important. Anise's eyes are suddenly downcast, and no matter the attempt, her smile isn't as bright as it once was. I quickly finish stacking the bottles on the shelves. I am done. Anise turns to look at me with an unusually tired expression on her face. Thank you for listening to me, Princess, and for telling me a little bit about yourself, too. I feel like I might have said too much. I do not respond to Anise, but instead choose to head out the front door. Anise asks where I'm going, but I just ignore her. I think about heading to town, but then reconsider. I decide to head to the forest instead.
What? Why are you going into the forest at night?
Oh, but it's a new environment that I have not seen. I make my way to the forest clearing. In the dark, everything feels a lot more comfortable. Here, I do not have to pretend to listen to anyone, and I do not have to talk about myself. I settle down on a rock and stare up at the sky. I apologized, but Anise did not even understand my apology. And even now, I still cannot bring myself to trust those at the march. I like how, because it's night, there's a bluish kind of overcast to her avatar here now. I sigh and find myself speaking aloud. Maybe I am the Ice Princess. Ah, but have you seen the beautiful sculptures that can be made from ice, Princess? Huh? I turn to see Rumpel walking towards me, a broad grin on his face. Ice always sparkles in the sun. It glistens and stands so proudly where it's been sculpted. I stare at Rumpel blankly. He sighs and shakes his head. I'm sorry. That one was particularly bad, wasn't it? He sits down beside me, and his grin falters a little bit. I love the artwork here. I love the artwork in this. It's very, very clean. I mean, all these visual novels have really great illustrations, and the people are all very clearly talented, but sometimes the illustrations are a bit rough, and I like the ones that have this kind of fine-tuned polish to them. Not that it's necessary, but I just feel like it gives a little pop, a little oomph. I have no white lilies to give you this time, my sweet princess, but I will offer anything else you would need for me to apologize for my advice earlier today. I can offer anything. My words, my body. I cut Rumpel off as I am not in the mood for his usual behavior. You are always like this. All you ever do is flirt. Any meaningful thing you try to say is lost in the flattery you constantly give to people. It is shallow. You're right. What? I stare at him. Rumpel is still smiling, but it is not the same confident grin he wore earlier. Somewhere, deep in my memories, I remember someone telling me off just like this. Many people enjoy flattery, Princess, and a lot of people are receptive to flirting. But nothing can measure up to a genuine compliment. But I stand by what I said before, and that making a person happy is a good deed. See, Rumpel is very self-aware. He's got more depth to him than Lady thinks. Look, I'll show you. Rumpel shifts so that he's looking right at me, and I notice that his smile is gone. Lady, of all the women I've met, you are the most straightforward and honest. Many do not have the courage or the confidence to exhibit those qualities. And that's why I admire you, and why I will always take your words to heart, because I know you will always speak the truth. I look into Rumpel's eyes, which still have a gentle shimmer despite the darkness. For a few moments, his words float around in my head. No one has ever called my bluntness honesty before, and no one has ever complimented me for it. Rumpel told me before that I deserve to be spoiled. Maybe it's because he sees the things I do in a more positive light. My, you're struck speechless by that, aren't you? You look cute with your cheeks so rosy, my sweet princess. I glare at him, and Rumpel just laughs in response. I put a hand to my cheek, suddenly self-conscious. Rumpel smiles at me, but it is not the usual playful smile. Right now, he almost looks serious. Did he mean what he just said? I'm not going to tell him off. I mean, that would be a very anime/manga thing to do, but I want to get closer to Rumpel. That's the whole point of me following this route. I want us to have romanceries and danceries in the darkeries. Ask him if he meant it. Did you really mean that compliment? Of course I did. I told you, right? Making a person happy is a good deed. I wanted to show you that. Rumpel's compliments do make people happy, even if I do find his words to be very shallow. But that felt different. Flattery is wonderful, but it usually only concerns complimenting a woman's physical appearance. True that. Though I do that really well, don't I? Earlier, I bet you made a niece happy, too. You were spying on our conversation? I would never! I just happened to be making my way down the stairs very slowly. I have the hiccups. You don't even know what I was apologizing for. No, but you thought you had to after you listened to her, didn't you? I listen far more than you do. Princess, you shattered my heart so many times there are permanent cracks. But do not worry, the cracks in my heart allow even more of you to make your way into it. Clever. Rumpel awkwardly laughs when I remain silent. Anyway, there are different kinds of listening, Princess. Listening to sympathize is one kind. You know what? Real talk. Rumpel, so far, is really imparting a lot of wisdom to her that I do actually agree with in real life, you know? I agree that flattery is a good way to make people feel good, but ultimately it is superficial, and genuine compliments are a way to get a really genuine response and to have a genuine impact. And I also would like to compliment him on understanding that a lot of times guys compliment your appearance, and not everyone is into that. You know, like there's no end to the number of guys who think complimenting my looks and my body is the way to like get into my good graces and the way for, you know, me to like them. But honestly, I'm not into it. I'm really not into it, you know, because for me it is very shallow. So what? TNA is a dime a dozen, you know, you can find a body anywhere. I want you to compliment me on my personality, you know, on who I am. And that's a genuine compliment to me, you know, so Rumpel gets it. Rumpel gets it. But anyway, back to the story. Trying to put yourself in someone's shoes, trying to understand them, that is one of those ways. Then there's a kind of listening that is shallow. One pretends to listen without ever letting the words into their heart. Words are fickle things. Mother always told me that people lie, and that they would say whatever benefited them. It is foolish to trust words. I only trust smoke signals. What if a niece had been lying to me? Why would I put so much blind faith in people? Because more often than not, people are good, Princess. I let out an exasperated sigh. Sometimes I cannot tell if I'm angry or confused by Rumpel. Ah, what a beautiful sound! It was as if the sweet wind itself was gently tickling my ear. I slide away from him and scowl. Your scowl is adorable too, and you have such delicate lips. Right. I am still convinced that his earlier compliment was just a lie. How can he say something genuine and then slide right back into this pitiful flattery? For a moment, silence falls, and I find to my surprise that it is not awkward being alone with Rumpel. Will you accept my apology for earlier? I promise I'll never try to get you to flirt with anyone ever again. Besides, if you flirted with another man and then grew fond of him, I would be devastated. That would never happen. You didn't let me finish. I was going to say that I would be devastated, because that would mean that your heart belongs to someone else, and my heart belongs to no one. I will steal it like a thief in the night. I do like Rumpel. He's corny, and I like it. It's sweet. That will also never happen. If not that, then I'll settle with making you smile at least once, because I'm sure you would shine as brightly as the sun if you smiled. That's true. She's never actually smiled. In this entire thing, in this entire visual novel, I don't recall her ever smiling. Wait, maybe she did. You are unreasonably persistent. Love is a persistent endeavor, princess. A man in love stops at nothing to win over the woman that he so adores. Then you must be in love with many women. I stand up. I would appreciate you just complimenting me when you mean it. But, princess, I mean every one of my compliments. I have no energy to chastise him right now, but at least I no longer have that anger inside from earlier. It's been a long day, and I'm going to bed. Would you like company? I didn't mean... Good night, Rumpel. Good night, Princess Lady. I make my way back to the tavern, feeling surprisingly light. Still, even if Rumpel's words might make me happier than I care to admit, he is not doing a very good job of helping me with my curse. I might have to do this on my own after all. Mayhap. Oh! Chapter 5! The doctor! Save! Stop it! Save! I'll save over here. I didn't need that. Yes. Thank you. Haha! All right. So, that was a nice playful little chapter. Not a lot happened, but I did get to see a little bit more into Rumpel's personality and the fact that he is self-aware. He's not just one of these guys that's just cluelessly running around trying to make passes at every woman that he finds blindly. He's just going after anything with a pulse. No, he knows what he's doing, and he knows how it can come across to these women, and he actually genuinely cares about what Lady thinks and feels. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that chapter, and it's shedding some light on compliments, not only for him and for Lady and for myself, but for any of you who are watching this. Take what Rumpel says to heart in your daily life. Learn to listen to people, learn to compliment them, but only in a genuine way that will have a positive impact on their lives. So I'll be back soon with the next chapter to continue the story and find out what happens next, because there are still a lot of questions unanswered. And again, if you haven't been watching this, I do have a playlist, so you can click on the icon to check it out, or I always keep a link in the description, and you can start from the beginning to see what the story's all about. It really is good. This is really one of my favorite visual novels I've found so far, and it's a wonderful take on the Cinderella story and on fairy tales. So even if you don't want to watch my videos, if you like visual novels and you like fairy tales, I highly recommend checking it out yourself.